As they're transitioning, we are at our final moment of the conference. This is the very last thing we do is offer some thoughts and perspectives on the last day and a half of the conference. And to do that, I'd like to introduce Lise Kruse. You heard from her earlier with the case study students. Lise is the chair-elect of the Conference of State Bank Supervisors and also is the Commissioner of Banks for the state of North Dakota. And for the first time this year, we will be announcing at this conference the name of the paper that our conference committee believes made the most significant contribution to banking research. That award the name of that award has been changed to the John W. Ryan Award. So Lise, thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you. As you can see, I am not Jim Cooper, as listed in the program. Unfortunately, Jim is unable to be here today, but I am pleased to be here representing CSBS on his behalf. Jim is a regular at this conference, so it's a familiar face to many of you, and he is very disappointed that he cannot be here today. It is also truly an honor to announce the first-time winner of the John W. Ryan Award for Most Significant Contribution to Community Banking Research today. John really was a visionary in how he understood the value of research and its role in shaping policy. He was a remarkable force behind the creation of this conference and spoke at it every year. I am glad that his contributions will be recognized each year going forward. Before I announce the winner, I want to take a few minutes to share my thoughts on this event and this year's research. First, though, as the CSPS chair-elect, I cannot pass up this moment to remind all of the bankers in our audience that you still have time to respond to this quarter's Community Bank Sentiment Index survey. You have to let your voice be heard. You've heard a lot about this index at this conference, and we are really pleased that it has been added to the FRED. I want to thank the planning members from the Federal Reserve, the FDIC, and CSBS, and I especially want to thank Jim Fuchs for heading up the conference, and to thank the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis for hosting. It is great to return, even as a hybrid. Thank you. The research papers here get stronger every year with more papers published in prominent journals. They are truly impressive. Creating research is one thing. Building the findings into effective change is another, and it takes time. However, in the past 10 years, we have seen the needle move. Lawmakers have cited the work from this conference, and federal policymakers have used our research to shift towards exempting smaller banks from rules designed for the larger ones. We've seen research from this event contribute to policy decisions in other areas, and some of those include the value of risk-based capital for community banks, the limitations of the Herfindahl-Hirschman Index, and the effectiveness of the federal appeal process of material supervisory issues. And the CSBS National Survey of Community Banks has been featured prominently in government reports and academic research. In short, we are building the proof points that we need for a stronger community banking sector. I was encouraged yesterday by a panel discussion comment. The research revealed that sometimes academic research has gaps because of the invisible contextual information academics cannot see. One of the presenters said that was why he was here at this conference, to have the opportunity to actually talk to community bankers. That is an incredible, important part of this conference, and it speaks to its uniqueness. Thinking of what Luann Cundiff said this morning, that there's always a story behind the numbers. This conference ties the stories and the numbers together. So where do we go from here? The relationship between technology and community banks is evolving at a fast pace. And we just heard from the last panel that employing technology doesn't mean losing the benefits of relationship banking. But while some banks have fully embraced online banking, our survey has showed that a lot of other community banks are looking for ways to employ technology, but are finding it expensive. I'd like to see more research into this relationship and opportunities for banks. What are the opportunities for community banks to add technology services while maintaining the relationship banking? Cybersecurity is a top concern for community banks in our annual survey. What is being done to protect them from breaches? And how can state and federal regulators cooperate effectively to help? I can tell you that cybersecurity is always on the agenda when state banking commissioners meet through CSBS. It keeps us up at night. I know it keeps bankers up at night, regulators too. We heard this week about the challenges also that minorities encounter when applying for mortgages. It raised a lot of good questions, and I think we all should be leaning in to the question on how to remove barriers for borrowers and ensure equal access to credit. The students in yesterday's case study panel, they really impressed me. They recognized the difference that F&M Bank made during the pandemic, not just to its customers, but to others in its community. It really makes me wonder, would the Paycheck Protection Program have worked without community banks? It goes back to what John Ryan, why he cared so much about this conference. It truly illustrates how vital community banks are to their economies and to the U.S. financial system. The community banking model must continue, but it will face changes and challenges, and we all need to be ready to adjust. As we close out the 10th Annual Community Banking Conference, we have to look forward, not just to next year, but the next decade. Bill Gates wisely said, quote, "We always overestimate the change that will occur in the next 2 years, and we underestimate the change that will occur in the next 10. Don't let yourself be lulled into inaction," end quote. So let's go forward, all of us, in providing research on how community banks will evolve and what regulators and policymakers need to do to allow that to happen. And now I get to announce the winning paper for the John W. Ryan Award for Most Significant Contribution to Community Banking Research. And because we're at the Fed, we got a gold envelope with the results. I wish. So the research paper that has won is titled Bank Loan Markups and Adverse Selection. And the authors are Mehdi Bayagi with the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond, Cesare Fracassi of University of Texas at Austin, and Gregory Weitzner at McGill University of Montreal, Canada. Congratulations. Congratulations. We will be in touch with you soon. And thank you all for attending. I look forward to seeing you next year. And over to you, Jim.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much. It's a great honor. Yeah.
We'll be in touch with you and your co-authors shortly. And again, thanks to all of our researchers. As I heard from our research and planning committee, this is a very difficult decision. A lot of interesting and provocative research. But again, certainly appreciate all of the discussions and conversations and you know, the insights from your paper, Greg. So thank you. So this is a wrap. This is the 10th conference. I will let folks know that when we first launched this in 2013, we all, and this was collectively, this just wasn't the Fed and CSBS and our friends at the FDIC. We wondered what is the life of this conference, right? And I think what we've shown is that this conference has a very, very long life because of the topic that we study continues to sustain incredible interest and provide sources of discussion and evolution and change, and that is something that I think keeps all of us incredibly interested. So look forward forward to, I've heard Jim Bullard say, looks forward to seeing what's going to happen over the next decade. I do too. I look forward to what's going to happen over the next 2 decades. So again, thanks to everyone who was here. All of our online participants and in-person participants, you should have received a survey in your inbox. Please fill it out. Please be very, very candid. Be brutal if you must. We want to know what we did right and what we didn't do right. This is our first time we've offered the conference in a fully hybrid format. In the past, this was an exclusively in-person conference with kind of a passive live stream. Then during the 2 years of the pandemic, it was an interactive, fully virtual experience. So we're so happy to come back. We're so happy to see so many of you here, and we're also grateful to everyone who was able to participate virtually. But we need your feedback, because in order to continue to do this for another decade, we need to make adjustments and continue to meet the needs of this conference, right? I guess the topic was, will technology mark the end of relationship banking? We don't want technology to mark the end of a relationship-based conference either. So thanks to all of you. It's great to see you, and we look forward to seeing you next year.